The amount of energy that's transferred in a heating process. If you need a name for it, we call it heat, but the symbol for it is Q, and your text makes a concerted effort to only call it Q. It's simply the amount of energy transferred between two systems because of a temperature difference. We like to refer to our systems as the system, which is generally smaller, and the environment, which is generally larger. The environment does not mean the entire universe. It's something larger than your actual thermal system you're looking at, but not too big to be beyond our comprehension and use. If the environment is colder than the system, the energy will go from the system into the environment. Energy always flows from hot into cold. In that case, we say the heat is negative. The amount of energy transferred is negative. So it's negative when it leaves the system. Q is less than 0. If the environment and the system are at the same temperature, then there is no energy transferred, and Q, or heat, is 0. If the environment is warmer than the system, then the energy will be transferred from the environment into the system. In that case, we say that Q is greater than 0, it's positive, or we say that the heat is positive. I mentioned before that originally they thought that this heat stuff, or caloric, was a separate substance. They didn't understand it was the same as energy, so they gave it its own unit, 1 calorie. We now understand that a calorie is just another unit of energy. That heat, the energy transferred in a heating process, is energy like any other. And so we know that 1 calorie is 4.186 joules. In fact, this is the current definition of the calorie, which is why this is exact. A calorie, scientific calorie, is 1/1000th of a kilocalorie, or a food calorie, and it's related to a British thermal unit in this way. The original definition of a calorie had to do with the amount of energy necessary to raise 1 gram of water 1 degree Celsius. So 1 calorie raises 1 gram of water 1 Celsius degree. However, it turns out that depending on which Celsius degree you raised it, you would get slightly different answers in the 4th and 5th significant digits. So they said you'd have to go from 14.5 degrees Celsius to 15.5 degrees Celsius. And in that case, the answer was about 4.1855 joules. They rounded it up to 4.186 and used that as the new definition for the calorie. The British thermal unit is defined very similarly in terms of the energy necessary to raise 1 pound of water 1 degree Fahrenheit. In the United States, we still like to measure energy values of food in kilocalories or nutritional calories, but in many other places, you can see here, they call this low joule COLA. They like to measure the energy content of food in joules because it is just an energy value.